This is what we're making. Well, we're making one of them. This one was made using the rolling mill, and this one was made using a hammer and a number 2 cut file. I think I like that one better. Diameter of your bangle, inside diameter. If you have a bangle that fits you, just measure it. 3 millimeter square wire. So the inside diameter plus 3 times 3.14. Cut your material to that length. Make sure it's annealed, and we're going to twist it. Trim the end off where you had it in the vise and cut it about 20 millimeters shorter than the length that you figured. Because as we work this, it's going to get longer. File the ends flat with a number 2 cut flat hand file. Anneal and twist around until the ends fit together. Make sure your twist lines up. You may have to cut it a little bit shorter on one end, but just make sure that they match. Once the ends are together, put it on your charcoal block. Pick up two 2-millimeter pieces with your solder pick. Brush the flame so that it's just on the join. Don't heat the back of this. I'm bouncing the flame off the charcoal. When the flux goes clear, place your solder, and it should flow really quickly. Heat the other side to make sure. Flip it over. Check the solder on the back to make sure it looks good. You can flow it again if you want. Quench it, pickle it. So take your piece out of the pickle, dry it, round it up on your bracelet mandrel with the rawhide hammer. Check that it's flat. If it isn't, use your wooden block. Still the rawhide hammer. And now tidy up your joins, and you can see that it's a fairly decent job. And we want to just tidy up the join so that it disappears. And I'm going to use the black abrasive wheel again on my handpiece. This one's worn down pretty far. They start about 19 millimeter diameter. So I just want to make it nice and pretty and keep the profile of the wire. Now I recommend hallmarking this now, because as we hammer, it's going to work hard in it. It'll make it really difficult to hallmark. You could use a round jeweler's file for this if you wanted, because it's about the right size to fit in those grooves. Now take your bangle or the bangle sizer that fits you. Put it on your bracelet mandrel. Use a texture to mark. I've got a mark here already. And this is so that you know the size that you need to hammer to. Because we're starting with smaller, and we're going to hammer it until it reaches that mark. Now, for this, Ideally, you'd be using a planishing hammer with the flat side. This is a lock breaker's hammer that I've polished. It's flat. It would work really well. But because I'm perverse, I'm using a crusty old cross-pane hammer, just to show you that we don't have to have the really expensive tool. So hammer on the flat and work your way around. Don't kill it. Make sure you hit it square. Now, as it's working its way down, as it gets closer, you need to make sure that your hammer marks are really close together, because we don't want flats. We actually want a bit of a curve. I'm just turning very slowly. And you'll see that it's just flattening it out. You may have to anneal it again, and you may want to flip it over to make sure that it's not on a taper. Okay, you can see we still have our fluted edge, and the top is slightly rough because of the indents in the hammer. So just take your flat number 2 cut file. Don't go off to the side. We're just going to file flat. Follow the curve, and we're just taking the hammer marks out. So you can see. So I'm just flattening the top. You can leave that if you want. I don't mind that. And when you get it filed flat, sand it, 400 grade paper, and polish it. You can go finer on the paper to put a little bit finer finish on it. It's up to you. And that's it. You're done. Well, you have to polish it, but you're done.